I sacrificed everything to pay off my parents' debt and save their home. Then I found the new deed, signed over to my spoiled sister. They told me I was jealous when I cried. So I showed them the fine print in the financial agreement I had them sign. Their blood ran cold when they realized I technically owned. The moment I finished typing the last zero into my banking app, my hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. $270,000. Final payment. Done. I stared at the confirmation screen until it went dark, half expecting it to change its mind. My name is Savannah, and I just spent the last 5 years of my life paying off my parents' debt. Every bonus, every raise, every spare dollar I could scrape together went straight into that black hole. While my friends bought houses and planned destination weddings, I lived in a cramped studio apartment and drove a car held together by duct tape and prayers. But it was worth it. Had to be worth it. This was our family home, the only place I'd ever lived, the place where my height mark still decorated the kitchen doorframe. I couldn't let the bank take it. I walked downstairs to the kitchen where Mom was arranging flowers in a vase, probably for one of Charlie's social media posts. My sister's influencer career meant our house was constantly being rearranged into aesthetic backdrops. "It's done," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I just made the final payment." Mom barely looked up. "Oh, that's nice, honey. Did you remember to pick up those specialty light bulbs Charlie needed? She has a sponsored post due tomorrow." The excitement in my chest deflated like a punctured balloon. "Mom, did you hear what I said? The debt is cleared. The house is safe." Of course, of course." She adjusted her rose. "We never doubted you'd handle it. You're so good with money. Unlike your sister. Speaking of which, she needs the new landscaping budget for her YouTube travel series. Something about brand consistency?" I gripped the kitchen counter. "That money is for fixing the sprinkler system." "Well, your sister's career is taking off. We need to support her while she has momentum. You understand?" "Right, sweetie?" Before I could answer, Charlie bounced in wearing what looked like $300 worth of athleisure. "Mom, the lighting is perfect for my morning routine video. Can you help me set up?" Mom immediately abandoned her flowers. "Coming, darling." I watched them disappear upstairs, my throat tight. 5 years of my life summarized with, "That's nice, honey." I don't know what I expected. A celebration dinner? A thank you card? Anything? That night, I couldn't sleep. I went to Dad's home office to find some aspirin, opening his desk drawer where he always kept a bottle. Instead, my fingers brushed against a thick manila envelope. I pulled it out, curious. Property deed documents spilled onto the desk. Normal enough. We'd been dealing with plenty of paperwork lately, but something made me look closer. My heart stopped. The name on the new deed wasn't Wong Family Trust like it should have been. It wasn't even my parents' names. It was Charlie's. Just Charlie's. I flipped through the pages frantically, checking dates, signatures, terms. The documents had been filed just days before my final payment cleared. They had transferred complete ownership to my sister while I was still paying off their debt. My hands trembled as I read it again and again, willing the words to change. The room started spinning. 5 years of my life, my savings, my dreams, all to save a house they'd already secretly given away. I stumbled to the bathroom and threw up, then slid down against the cold tile wall. Through the thin walls, I could hear Charlie's voice drifting down the hallway. "Don't forget to like and subscribe, beasties. Your girl's about to level up her content game with some major home renovation projects." The bathroom light buzzed overhead as reality sank in. They hadn't just taken advantage of me. They'd planned this, waited until I'd nearly finished paying before quietly transferring everything to Charlie. They'd watched me sacrifice everything, knowing exactly what they were going to do. I pulled out my phone with shaking fingers and took photos of every document, every signature, every date. Then I carefully returned everything exactly as I'd found it. Walking back to my room, I passed the kitchen doorframe with its pencil marks tracking my growth. I ran my fingers over the highest line, Savannah, 16, and realized with stark clarity that I'd spent my entire adult life trying to measure up to something that was never meant for me at all. I looked at the photos on my phone again at the date of the transfer that proved just how thoroughly I'd been played. My whole body went cold, then hot, then utterly, terrifyingly calm. If they wanted to play games with legal documents, I decided right then they were about to learn exactly how good I was with paperwork. I waited until Sunday dinner to confront them. Mom always insisted on these weekly performances of perfect family unity, usually timed perfectly for Charlie's day in the life vlogs. "So," I said, setting down my fork, "when were you planning to tell me about the house?" The clinking of silverware stopped. Dad suddenly became very interested in his mashed potatoes. "What about the house, sweetie?" Mom's smile was practice perfect. "The deed transfer to Charlie, when were you going to mention that?" Charlie rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh my God, are you seriously trying to start drama right now? I'm in the middle of filming." "Turn off the camera, Charlie. You can't tell me turn it off." Something in my voice must have scared her because she actually did it. Mom's smile had gone brittle. "Savannah, you're making a scene," she said. "We were going to discuss this once everything was settled." "Settled?" I laughed, and it sounded strange even to me. "I made the final payment last week. The debt is cleared." "Seems pretty settled to me. But look," Charlie leaned forward. "It just makes more sense this way. I need a stable base for my brand, and you're always so practical. You've never been cut out for the spotlight anyway." "Cut out for the I paid for this house." "Lower your voice," Mom snapped. "We're grateful for your help, of course, but your sister has special circumstances. Her lifestyle is more fragile, more dependent on appearances. You have a steady job. You'll be fine." I turned to Dad, who still hadn't looked up. "Did you even read what you were signing?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Your mother thought Neil." Mom cut him off. "We made this decision as a family. I'm family too." My voice cracked. "Or am I just the family ATM?" "Don't be dramatic." Charlie sighed. "You can still live here. I'm thinking of converting the garage into a guest suite anyway. Once I renovate the main house for my aesthetic, of course." I stood up so fast my chair fell backward. "I'm calling a lawyer." That got their attention. Mom's face went white. "You wouldn't dare. Watch me. After everything we've done for you," Mom's voice rose. "This is how you repay us?" I walked out, their voices following me to the door. I drove straight to Andrea's apartment, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. Andrea opened her door, took one look at my face, and pulled out a bottle of wine. My best friend since college, she'd watched this whole disaster unfold from the beginning. "They did something awful, didn't they?" She poured 2 generous glasses. I told her everything. When I finished, she set down her glass with a sharp click. "Please tell me you kept copies of the original repayment contract." "Of course. It's in my safety deposit box." "Why?" Andrea's eyes lit up. She was a paralegal, and I recognized her. "I just found a loophole face. Because I've read that contract multiple times, and there's something your family seems to have forgotten." She grabbed her laptop and pulled up a digital copy she'd helped me draft years ago. "Section 7, paragraph 3, read it." I leaned in, scanning the legal text, then I read it again, slower. "Holy shit, exactly." Andrea grinned. "They legally can't transfer the deed without either paying you back in full or getting your written consent. If they do, ownership automatically reverts to me as the primary lion holder." I finished, my heart pounding. "They played themselves," Andrea said. "They were so busy being sneaky, they forgot to check the fine print. Classic mistake. They never thought I'd fight back," I realized. "They assumed I'd just take it." Like always, Andrea topped off my wine. "So what are you going to do about it?" I pulled out my phone and opened my contacts. "Remember that lawyer you mentioned? The one who specializes in property law? Eric? Yeah. He's brutal. Perfect for this." I hit dial. Time to show my family exactly how practical I can be. As the phone rang, I pulled out the photos I'd taken of the deed transfer. My hands weren't shaking anymore. For the first time since finding those documents, I smiled. Mom always said I was good with money. Time to show her just how good I was with contracts too. "Hello. This is Eric Norton's office," a voice answered. "Hi," I said. "I need to discuss a fraudulent property transfer. How soon can I schedule a consultation?" Andrea raised her glass in a silent toast. Across town, my family was probably still sitting at that dinner table thinking they'd won, thinking I'd back down like always. They had no idea what was coming. Eric Norton's office was exactly what you'd expect from a high-end property lawyer. All glass, chrome, and quiet money. The man himself was younger than I expected, barely older than me, with the kind of precise attention to detail that made me instantly glad he was on my side. "So," he said, scanning the documents spread across his desk, "they transferred the deed without settling the lien or obtaining written consent from the primary lion holder, you." "Yes. And you have proof of all payments made." I pulled out my folder. Every transaction dated and documented, plus emails discussing the arrangement. He picked up the original contract, eyes narrowing at Section 7. "This clause is interesting. Did they have legal representation when signing?" "No. Mom said it wasn't necessary since we're family." Eric's mouth twitched. "Family or not, this is legally binding. They breached the terms the moment they filed that transfer." My phone buzzed. A text from Charlie. "Hey, sis. Need a tiny favor. Can you spot me $5K for my Mykonos trip? It's for work. My followers are dying for Mediterranean content. You're so good with money stuff." I showed Eric the message. "They haven't even told her about our meeting." Typical. He straightened the papers with precise movements. "Here's what's going to happen. We'll file a notice of breach, giving them 30 days to either reverse the transfer or repay your contribution in full with interest. And if they don't, then ownership legally reverts to you. Given the documentation, it's fairly straightforward." I thought about Mom's face when she realized I was serious. They won't go quietly. They rarely do. He pulled out a calendar. I suggest serving them formal notice at a time when everyone's present. Makes it harder to claim they weren't informed. An idea formed in my mind. What about during dinner? They never skip Sunday dinner. Perfect. I'll have the papers ready by Friday. Walking out of his office, I called Andrea. I need a favor. How good are you at making fancy envelopes? Like wedding invitation fancy or ransom note fancy? Somewhere in between. I'm planning a special dinner delivery. She laughed. I'm in. Want me to help serve them too? Actually, yes. They're less likely to make a scene with an outsider present. Another text from Charlie popped up. Hello? The flight deals expire tonight. Don't be selfish. I typed back. Can't wait for Sunday dinner. I have something special planned. Mom called almost immediately. Savannah, are you bringing someone? Should I set an extra place? Just Andrea. And, yes, please set an extra place. It's going to be a memorable meal. I spent the next few days gathering everything, bank statements, transfer records, timestamps of every payment. Andrea helped me arrange them in elegant envelopes, one for each family member. You're really gonna do this, she said, sealing the last envelope. They gave me no choice. No, they didn't. She squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. Sunday arrived with perfect timing. Mom had decorated the table elaborately, probably for Charlie's social media. Dad was quieter than usual, picking at his sleeve. Charlie bounced between selfie poses. So, Mom beamed as we sat down. Charlie has exciting news. Tell them, sweetheart. I got sponsored by a major collagen brand, Charlie squealed. They love what I'm doing with the house aesthetic. Mom and I were thinking of redoing the whole first floor to match their vibe. Interesting timing, I said, pulling out the envelopes. I have some news too. I placed an envelope in front of each of them. Mom's smile faltered. What's this, honey? Open it. They did. The sound of rustling paper filled the room, followed by absolute silence. Mom's hands started shaking. Dad's face went gray. Charlie just looked confused. I don't understand all this legal stuff, she whined. Let me help, I said, opening my laptop. These are copies of the original contract. And these, I pulled up the bank records, are timestamps of every payment I made. All $270,000 worth. Savannah, Mom whispered. What have you done? No, Mom. What have you done? You have exactly 7 business days to settle your debt, or the house becomes mine legally and completely. You can't. I can. It's all in the contract you signed. Maybe you should have read it more carefully. Charlie's face crumpled. But what about my collagen campaign? I stood up, Andrea following suit. You have 1 week. Choose carefully. Walking out, I heard Mom start to cry and Dad trying to calm her. But for the first time in my life, I didn't turn back to fix it. They'd made their choice. Now it was time for consequences. The next week passed in a blur of angry texts and missed calls. Mom cycled between guilt trips. How could you do this to your family? And thinly veiled threats. You'll regret this, Savannah. Dad sent one message. Please, let's talk about this. I ignored them all. Charlie, meanwhile, went on a social media rampage. Her followers got treated to tearful Instagram stories about toxic family members and dealing with betrayal. She never mentioned the money, of course. That wouldn't fit her carefully curated image. On day 6, Mom demanded another family dinner. Fine. I texted back. 7 p.m. I'll bring the paperwork. Andrea offered to come again, but I needed to do this alone. When I arrived, the dining room looked like a magazine spread. Mom had really outdone herself. Crystal glasses, fine china, fresh flowers, like she could pretty her way out of this. Sit down, honey, she said, eerily calm. We need to discuss this as a family. I took my usual seat, noting how they'd positioned themselves, Mom and Dad on one side, Charlie on the other, me, alone at the end. We've been thinking, Mom continued, pouring wine nobody touched, about your demands, and we have a counter-proposal. The contract isn't up for negotiation. Just listen, Dad pleaded. Your mother has a plan. Mom smiled her real estate agent smile. We're going to renovate the house, make it a proper content creation space for Charlie's brand. Once it's established, we can all benefit as a family. All benefit, I laughed, like how I benefited from paying off your debt. That's different, Charlie cut in. This is about building something. My followers are already excited about the renovation series. We could be looking at major sponsorship deals. And let me guess, you need me to help fund these renovations? Well, Mom shifted. You are so good with money, sweetie, and family supports family. The sheer audacity stunned me into silence. They still didn't get it, or maybe they did and just didn't care. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. Let me show you something. I placed the phone on the table screen up. This is my savings account. 5 years ago, It had enough for a down payment on my own house. Now look at it. They leaned in. Mom's smile flickered. Keep watching, I said, starting to scroll through the transaction history. Every payment I made to save this house, every bonus I gave up, every raise that went straight to your debt, 5 years of my life documented in numbers. Savannah, Dad started. I'm not finished. I pulled up the property records on my laptop. And this is the deed transfer you tried to hide from me, dated 3 days before my final payment cleared. Were you laughing about it? Watching me drain my accounts while you plan to give everything to Charlie? It's not like that, Mom protested. We were trying to secure your sister's future. What about my future? My voice cracked. Did that ever matter to you? Of course it did. But you're stable, responsible. Charlie needs to grow up, I snapped. And you need to pay what you owe. You have 24 hours left. Charlie burst into tears. Real ones this time, not the pretty kind she used for videos. You're ruining everything. My followers are expecting. I don't care about your followers. I stood up so fast my chair toppled. I care about the 5 years you all stole from me. The dreams I gave up. The relationship I lost because I was too busy saving this house. That made them pause. They'd never heard me yell before. 1 day left, I said, gathering my things. Either pay me back in full or I'll see you in court. We don't have that kind of money, Dad said quietly. You know that. Then I guess you better start packing. Mom grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. You wouldn't really throw your own family out. This isn't you, Savannah. I looked at her hand, then her face. You're right, the old Savannah would have forgiven you, would have found a way to fix this, but you killed her, Mom. Little by little, payment by payment, lie by lie. I pulled free from her grip. The daughter you raised, the one who always put family first, she's gone, and you have only yourselves to thank for that. Walking out, I heard Charlie start another crying fit and Mom trying to console her. Dad called my name, but I didn't look back. Let them cry. Let them panic. Let him finally feel a fraction of what I'd felt, finding that deed with Charlie's name on it. They had 24 hours to make it right, but deep down, I knew they wouldn't. They never did. The deadline came and went. No payment, no calls, just silence. I was about to contact Eric when Aunt Michelle showed up at my apartment unannounced. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into my living room. Mom's sister had always been the family fixer, swooping in during crises with her special blend of guilt and manipulation. There's nothing to talk about. Don't be difficult, Savannah. She perched on my couch like she owned it. This situation has gotten out of hand. Really? Because I think it's finally in hand for the first time. She sighed dramatically. Your mother is devastated. Your sister's brand deals are falling through. Is that what you wanted? What I wanted was my family to treat me with basic respect. Oh, please. Michelle waved dismissively. You're not the victim here. Do you know how hard your mother worked to set up that deed transfer? How many favors I had to call in to make it happen quietly? I froze. What did you just say? She realized her mistake too late. Her face went pale. You helped them. I stepped closer. You helped them steal my house. Don't be melodramatic. I simply facilitated the paperwork. Made sure it went through without complications. Without complications? I laughed bitterly. You mean without me finding out until it was too late? Charlie needed. Get out. Savannah, get out. I grabbed my phone, or I'll call Eric right now and add you to the fraud complaint. She left, but not before delivering a final shot. Family doesn't sue family. Watch me, I whispered as the door slammed. My phone buzzed. Andrea sending a link to Reddit. Someone had anonymously posted about Charlie's family drama in an influencer gossip forum. The post included screenshots of her crying videos juxtaposed with her luxury purchases. Wasn't me, Andrea texted with a winking emoji. The post was going viral. Within hours, Charlie's main sponsor, the collagen company, announced they were reviewing their partnership. Her follower count started dropping. Then Mom showed up at my office. You have to stop this, she said, mascara streaking her cheeks. Your sister's career is falling apart. My coworkers stared as I led her to a conference room. I'm not doing anything to her career. People are calling her a fraud, a spoiled brat. Her sponsors are dropping her. Sounds like consequences. She's your sister. Mom grabbed my hands. Please, baby, drop the lawsuit. We can work something out. Give her time to rebuild her brand. I pulled away. Like you gave me time to pay off your debt. That's different. We're your parents. Not anymore. She recoiled like I'd slapped her. What? You stopped being my parents the moment you chose Charlie's brand over my sacrifice, the moment you watched me work myself into the ground while planning to betray me. We didn't betray you, took everything I had. My voice echoed off the conference room walls. Every dollar, every dream, every ounce of trust I had in you, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me to my face. I'm your mother, she whispered. No, You're just someone who gave birth to me. There's a difference. She started crying harder. What happened to my sweet girl? The one who always took care of everyone? She grew up. She learned her worth, and she's done being your ATM. My phone buzzed. Eric texting that the court had approved our motion. Sheriff's notice would be served next week. Time's up, Mom. The sheriff will be serving papers soon. I suggest you start packing. You'd really do this? Make your family homeless? My family made themselves homeless when they chose to steal from me. I opened the conference room door. Now please leave before I call security. She walked out, shoulders shaking with sobs. My co-workers pretended not to watch. Back at my desk, I saw dozens of missed calls from Dad and Charlie. A text from Aunt Michelle warning me I'd regret this. Another Reddit thread about Charlie's downfall. Andrea called. You okay? No. I admitted, but I will be. Your mom showed up at your office. Yeah. Full waterworks display. Classic narcissist move, Andrea snorted. When manipulation fails, try public humiliation. It almost worked. For a second, I almost felt bad. Don't remember what they did to you. I looked at my empty savings account. Trust me, I remember. The sheriff serves papers next week, she said. Want me to come with? No. I closed my banking app. I need to do this alone. You're not alone, she corrected. You're just not letting them control you anymore. She was right. For the first time in my life, I wasn't fixing someone else's mess. I was finally cleaning house. 3 days before the sheriff was due to serve papers, I ran into River at the coffee shop near my office. My ex looked exactly the same. Tall, kind eyes, that slight crook in his smile. We'd broken up 2 years ago when I chose my family's debt over our future together. Savannah? He stopped mid-reach for his coffee. I heard about everything. Let me guess. You saw Charlie's meltdown videos? Actually, Andrea told me. He shifted awkwardly. I wanted to call, but we haven't spoken since you moved out. The barista called my name. River grabbed my coffee before I could, holding it out like a peace offering. Have a minute to catch up. We found a quiet corner table. For a moment, we just sat there remembering all the Sunday mornings we'd spent in places like this, planning a future that never happened. You were right, I said finally. About my family, about all of it. I didn't want to be right. He stirred his coffee absently. I wanted to be wrong about how they were using you. Remember when we found that perfect house? The fixer-upper with the big yard? 3 bedrooms, vintage kitchen. You loved the bay windows. We could have bought it if I hadn't given that down payment to my parents instead. He reached across the table then stopped himself. Are you okay? Really? No. I surprised myself with the honesty. I'm angry and hurt and so tired of being the responsible one. You're doing the right thing, you know, standing up for yourself. Am I? Because it feels like I'm turning into them. Cold, calculating, focused on revenge. Hey, he caught my eye. Protecting yourself isn't revenge. Getting back what's yours isn't cruel. Dad showed up at my apartment yesterday, begged me to reconsider, said we could all sit down, work something out. What did you say? That they had 5 years to work something out. Now they get consequences. River nodded slowly. The Savannah I knew would have caved, would have found a way to fix everything for everyone else. She's gone. No, he said softly. She's just finally fixing things for herself. My phone buzzed. Eric calling? I stepped outside to answer. The sheriff's office moved up the timeline, he said. They're serving papers tomorrow morning. My stomach dropped. That's fast. Having second thoughts. No, just reality hitting hard. You can still back out. No, I said firmly. I can't. I went back inside to find River waiting by the door. Everything okay? He asked. Sheriff's coming tomorrow. It's really happening. He touched my arm gently. Need company? I need to do this alone. You've done enough alone. His voice was kind but firm. Let someone be on your side for once. Before I could answer, my phone exploded with notifications. Charlie had gone live on Instagram sobbing about betrayal and family loyalty. The comments were brutal. People calling her entitled fake, questioning her whole career. River peered at my screen. She really doesn't get it, does she? None of them do. They still think I'm being selfish. You know what's selfish? Watching your daughter drain her life savings while plotting to steal her inheritance. I looked up at him, surprised by the anger in his voice. What? He shrugged. I watched you kill yourself trying to save them. Watched you give up everything, including us, because family came first. They didn't deserve that kind of loyalty. I miss you, I said suddenly. I miss who I was when I was with you. She's still there, just stronger now. He smiled that crooked smile. Want me to come by tomorrow after everything's done? I thought about facing the empty house alone. Yes. I'll bring pizza like old times. Walking back to my office, I felt lighter somehow. River had always seen through my family's manipulation even when I couldn't. Having him back even as just a friend felt like recovering a piece of myself I'd lost. My phone buzzed again, Andrea sending another Reddit thread about Charlie. This one detailed every luxury purchase she'd made while I was paying off the debt. Still not me, she texted. But Karma's got a group chat now. I smiled, putting my phone away. Tomorrow would be hard, ugly, the kind of day that changes families forever. But for the first time, I was ready for it. Let them cry. Let them rage. Let them finally face the truth about themselves. I had nothing left to give them and everything to gain back. The sheriff arrived at 9 a.m. sharp. I watched from my car as he walked up the front path I'd helped Mom plant with hydrangeas last spring. Everything looked so normal, so deceptively peaceful. Charlie opened the door, phone already recording. "What's happening? Are you, here to arrest someone?" The sheriff remained professionally neutral. "I'm here to serve legal notice of property transfer. Are your parents home?" "Oh my God." Charlie's voice went shrill. She actually did it. "Mom? Dad?" I got out of my car as my parents appeared in the doorway. Mom's face crumpled when she saw me. "You can stop this," she pleaded. "It's not too late." "It was too late the moment you signed those transfer papers." I nodded to the sheriff. "Please proceed." He began reading the court order. Dad stared at his feet. Charlie kept filming, probably thinking this would salvage her failing influencer career. "You have 72 hours to vacate the premises," the sheriff concluded. "This is my house," Charlie shrieked. "I have the deed." "Not anymore," I said quietly. Mom slapped me. The crack echoed across the front yard. Even the sheriff stepped back. "I raised you better than this," she hissed. I touched my stinging cheek. "No, Mom. You raised me exactly for this. You taught me that family means taking what you want and calling it love." "Mom," the sheriff warned, "any further physical contact and I'll have to file additional charges?" Mom retreated shaking. Dad finally looked up. Can we at least get our things?" 72 hours, I repeated. "Anything left after that becomes my property." Charlie was having a full meltdown now, her livestream capturing everything. Comments flooded in, some supporting her, others calling this karmic justice. "My followers will hear about this," she screamed. "Everyone will know what you did." "Good." I met her eyes. "Let them know exactly what happened. How you lived in luxury while I paid your parents' debt. How you all plotted to steal my inheritance. Tell them everything, Charlie. For once in your life, be honest." She ran inside, slamming the door. Mom followed, but Dad lingered. "I have something for you," he said softly. He disappeared inside, returning with a worn cardboard box. "What's this?" "Your baby photos, school awards, things your mother wanted to throw away when we made the transfer decision." He set the box at my feet. "I couldn't do it." "Why not?" "Because you're still my daughter even if I've been a coward about showing it." The sheriff cleared his throat. "We're done here. Good luck, miss." I waited until he left before opening the box. Inside, carefully preserved, was my whole childhood, dance recitals, honor roll certificates, the Father's Day cards I'd made in elementary school. "I never wanted this," Dad said, "any of it. I just couldn't stand up to your mother, to Michelle, to anyone." "That's the problem, Dad. You never stood up for me either." He nodded, shoulders slumping. "I know. I'm moving in with my brother for now. If you ever want to talk, I don't." He turned to leave, then stopped. "There's a letter in there. I wrote it last night. You don't have to read it, but I needed you to have it." I watched him walk away, the box heavy in my arms. Through the windows, I could see Mom and Charlie frantically packing, probably saving all the expensive items first. My phone buzzed, River checking in. "All done?" "Just finished. Coming over. On my way with pizza and wine. You shouldn't be alone in that house tonight." I looked up at my childhood home, now legally mine. The gardens I'd tended, the walls that held so many memories, good and bad. "Thanks," I texted back. I could use a friend right now. Inside the box, beneath years of memories, I saw Dad's letter. Part of me wanted to rip it up unread, but something made me open it. "Savannah, I never thought you'd find your voice. I never thought you'd stand up to us. I was wrong. You're stronger than all of us combined. I'm sorry I helped break your trust in family. I'm sorry I was too weak to protect you. I'm sorry I let them convince me that love means taking instead of giving. You deserved better." "Dad," I folded the letter carefully, putting it back in the box. Through the windows, I could see Charlie filming one last dramatic video in her room. Mom was probably calling everyone she knew, playing the victim. But for the first time since this all began, their drama felt distant, like watching a play I'd finally stopped performing in. The house was mine, and they were just going to have to live with that. The last moving truck pulled away just before sunset on the third day. I stood in the driveway watching my family's taillights disappear around the corner. They'd taken everything they could carry: furniture, electronics, Charlie's endless filming equipment. Mom hadn't spoken a word to me. Dad left another letter I hadn't opened yet. Ready? Andrea appeared beside me, paint swatches in hand. Almost. I walked through each room slowly, touching walls, opening empty closets. The house felt bigger somehow, lighter. River arrived with takeout in his toolbox. Where do we start? Kitchen, I decided. Mom always hated the color I wanted to paint it. We worked through dinner, stripping away decades of my mother's careful staging. Down came the formal drapes that had made me feel like I lived in a museum. Out went Charlie's ring lights and backdrop screens. Look what I found, Andrea called from upstairs. She held up a piece of paper tucked behind a loose baseboard. My college acceptance letter to NYU, the one Mom had hidden because family needs to stay close. You could still go, River said quietly. Nothing's holding you back now. I shook my head. I don't need to run away anymore. This is mine now. Really mine. My phone kept buzzing with messages from flying monkeys, family friends, distant relatives, all telling me how cruel I was being. I turned it off. Your sister's latest video is trending, Andrea mentioned, rolling paint onto the kitchen walls. The deep blue I'd always wanted spread like freedom across the plaster. She's playing the homeless influencer angle, getting some sympathy donations. Good for her. She can use them to rent an apartment. River looked up from where he was installing new cabinet handles. You really don't care anymore, do you? I care, I said, surprising myself with the honesty. I'll always care. They're my family, but I don't owe them anything now. That's the difference. Speaking of not owing things, Andrea pulled out her phone. Check your credit score. I did. Without the crushing debt payments, my score had jumped nearly 100 points. I could actually buy a house now, I realized. A different one. Start fresh somewhere else. Is that what you want? River asked. I looked around at the half-painted kitchen. Had the spaces waiting to become mine. No, I want this one. I earned it. We worked late into the night. Every stroke of paint felt like reclaiming territory. Every new fixture like planting a flag. Around midnight, Andrea left for home. River stayed, helping me set up my bedroom in what used to be Dad's office. Remember when we used to talk about living together? He asked, assembling my bed frame. Yeah, before I chose them over us. And now? I met his eyes. Now I'm choosing me. Just me, for a while. He nodded, understanding. Good, you need that. But maybe when I'm done finding myself, we could get coffee again. I'd like that. He smiled that crooked smile I'd missed so much. No rush though. You've got some living to do first. After he left, I sat alone in my new kitchen. My blue kitchen. Through the window, I could see the garden where Mom's precious hydrangeas were starting to wilt. Tomorrow, I'd plant wildflowers instead. Dad's latest letter sat unopened on the counter. I finally read it. I moved your height marks from the old door frame. They're in the box with your baby pictures. I thought you might want them for the new house. Your house. Love, Dad. Something cracked in my chest. Not breaking, but shifting. Healing maybe. My phone had dozens of missed calls from Mom. One text from Charlie. I hope you're happy in your stolen house. But it wasn't stolen. It was earned, paid for with 5 years of my life, with broken dreams and canceled futures, with every sacrifice they'd taken for granted. I opened my banking app one last time, looking at the empty account that had bought my freedom. Then I deleted my family's contact information, one number at a time. Tomorrow, I'd paint the living room, replace the formal furniture with comfortable couches, make this space mine in every way they never let me before. They all called me selfish, but I'm the only one who truly gave everything. And now, finally, I was giving something back to my cell. I touched the kitchen wall, feeling the fresh paint under my fingers. The color of courage, the color of change, the color of starting over, not running away, not giving up, just beginning again on my own terms, in my own house, in my own life. Finally, completely mine.